Thanks for joining us today at Unstuck Your Business podcast.
You went into business with a passion to explore your skills and talents and show the world what you can do to contribute into our society and into our economic ecosystem. But a couple of years into the business and your drive and motivation has dwindled, and now you feel stuck.
When you find yourself at this crossroad of thoughts and emotions, how do you deal with it? In this podcast, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship to help you unstuck your business. We are your hosts, Inés Nazario Vega from Business Essentials Virtual Assistant.
And Edith Duran from Reason Marketing.
Welcome to another episode of Unstuck Your Business. This is the space where we don't sugarcoat reality. We talk about the falls, the scratches, and most importantly, how to unstuck your business and achieve true success. Have you ever asked yourself, is there an ideal age for business? Is the raw energy of your 20s better than the seasoned wisdom of your 50s?
Today, we analyze the different stages of an entrepreneur's life and how each decade brings its own unique set of challenges and blessings. To help us with this topic today, we have Pete Heyman. Coach Pete helps men and women ages 20 to 70 plus who are stuck in negative patterns get out of their own way and make positive changes. So, Coach Pete, welcome to Unstuck Your Business. Would you please tell us? Yes, welcome. And would you please tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be with both of you. And the topic is just ideal for me and my coaching practice. But I've been a coach now for about 14 years. And most of my career before that, actually 30 plus years, was in sales, marketing, and advertising in the corporate world. And within that 30 years, I had a couple of solopreneur ventures in terms of consulting and sales and marketing. So I've worked in almost every business category. I've done a lot of things in that time period in my 20s, 30s, into my 40s. And I'm very proud of that work. I also started a family during that time, got married, started a family, I have two sons. That's been pretty much my purpose during that period. But I discovered, because gone through a lot of personal growth work in my life, I've always gone to counselors and coaches, and I've always been into that. And I realized that although I had a purposeful life, it was important to me, mostly the purpose of my family. Was it my life purpose? I never even knew what that meant. And so through some guidance and personal growth work, I was guided to look at, hey, Pete, what is your life purpose? And I'm living proof it's never too late. And I realized that helping people, supporting people through coaching and counseling, that truly is my life purpose. So it's never too late. And I found it and I love it. And I bring all that experience that I had previously to my coaching work, because a lot of it is my practice is called breakthrough career and life coaching. So career is a big part of my coaching practice, or can be, depending on the clients that I'm serving. So that's what brings me to today. I'm so happy to be with you.
Thank you, Coach Pete. And I'm so looking forward to this topic, ages and stages of life and business. I think we don't stop long enough to talk and think about that, how life evolves and how career evolves with our lives and how they kind of entangle with each other and how do we evolve from that stages of life. So, I don't want to start too much in our 20s because I think in our 20s we're kind of wild, full of energy. We don't think much about anything other than, we want to just be done with our college degree, start some kind of a job and burn through money like crazy, which at least that's what I kind of did. But I think we start taking life and career a little bit more serious towards the end of our 20s and our 30s. So I want to ask you this question. In our 30s, it kind of the pressure ramps up. Like there's more expectations. There not only from other people but for ourselves. And if you have had the opportunity to live your 20s and then get married in your late 30s or late 20s, early 30s, which I did get married in my early 30s. Things change. There might be a family, a mortgage, and a heavy structure to maintain. Is this the hardest stage to innovate? How do you prevent your business from becoming present right when you should be at your peak productivity? How do you untangle that or
Well, I agree with you that the 30s are usually a very critical time in someone's life. I mean, not everybody's a little different for sure.
Mhm.
Some people, in their 20s, they get more serious than others. But generally speaking, I agree with you that it's the 30s where you're really launching your life, your career. You're getting, your feet on the ground. You're getting some connection to what you want to do, hopefully. And sometimes you're starting a relationship, you're starting a family, even if that's your choice. And you're right, those pressures really build up. I mean, it's not easy to manage through the 30s of life because of those pressures. And if you're entrepreneurial and starting a business, or even if you're corporate and or working for other people, these things can feel like they're colliding. You have your family life, your relationship life, the career that you're launching, and they can seem to really collide. And it's good to always take a step back, take a breath, and sort out what's going on, and kind of check in to what's inside in your heart, and make sure that it's kind of consistent. And sometimes that's difficult to do because of the pressures. I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think what for me, at least in my 30s, like I said, I did get married in my early 30s. I did have my daughter in my late 30s, and just juggling through that change and not feeling guilty about either, not feeling guilty about building a career and building a family. I think that was the biggest challenge
Mhm.
because
Sure.
when you're at work, you're thinking about your family, and when you're with your family, you're thinking about work. And I guess as a coach, as a life coach, what would you say would be tips or ideas to manage that inner struggle?
Mhm.
Well, at any stage of life, it's always good to check in to what's going on inside you. Try to check in with, what motivates you, what makes you happy, what makes you fulfilled. And sometimes that's not easy to do alone because of the pressures that you're talking about. You're taking on so much in that stage of the 30s. Um, and but however you do it, whether it's with the help of a coach or a counselor or people you know and trust and love and they love you, however way you do it, it's good to do that kind of check-in. What what am I all about? What are my talents? What are my strengths? What are my capabilities? What are my passions in life?
Mhm.
And kind of make sure they're in alignment as much as possible. I think at any stage of life, that's really important. I know for me, going back to my 20s, I actually started, my first job I ever had was running a youth program, a youth personal growth center. I mean, it was amazing. I loved it. All I knew at that time was I loved what I was doing. I wasn't making much money, but I was single. I didn't need much money. Everything I owned kind of fit in my Volkswagen Beetle. That'll date me a little bit.
Mhm.
But, I was content. I was happy. Then I was about to make a commitment to get married to a young woman that I was dating for quite a while on and off. And we made a commitment to get married. And I figured, whoops, I better figure out how to make some money. So
Mhm.
that's what led me into the corporate life, into sales and
Mhm.
marketing. And it was really a money play. It was to make money to support my beginning family. And
Mhm.
I don't regret it because I really learned a lot and I loved it, but I left what was really in my heart to do. And I didn't know it then because I didn't
Mhm.
know what life purpose was. And
Mhm.
it took me a long time to kind of get back to that. But at any stage in these 30s, even if you're in the midst of it, it's so important to do that kind of check-in list. I love lists. What are your
Mhm.
talents? What are your skills? What are your capabilities? What are your passions? What do you love to do? Another one I love is what's your lovable list? And that
Mhm.
sounds funny to some people, but what I mean by that is what makes other people want to be with you, want to be in your sphere, want to be connected with you. And you look at those three areas of your life at any stage of life, I think that's really important work to do. and make sure it's in alignment.
Mm-hmm. You know,
Yeah.
we didn't really get into the 20s very much, but something that I think about is when I'm thinking of my 30s is I don't think at any stage of my life, now that I'm in my 50s, have I ever wanted to redo my 20s. But one thing that I do miss of my 20s is that fearlessness that I had back then. And the fearlessness um, created more, not just opportunities, but more experiences for me that were more aligned, like you said, to myself. And and then you start to get into your 30s and then 40s, and now the fear of disappointing people, the fear of not being the wife you should be, or the friend you should be, or the employee you should be. Now they start setting in, and you start to lose that, that spark or that fire you had in your 20s. And I think being aware of that as you get older and have that list, like you just said, Pete, is something that we may forget about, as we get older. It's not that we're losing ourselves, but maybe in a way we start to abandon ourselves, and it's not like, so it's not a definite loss, if that makes sense.
Oh, I totally understand, and I love the way you put that because abandoning ourselves because of the responsibilities,
Mm-hmm.
because of the pressures, as your life develops. I totally agree. And at any stage, it's good to do that check-in that I talked about. It can really help.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
when you're in your 30s, and then responsibility starts to almost compile on itself as you get older, and in your 40s, um, I mean, that might be the stage when you're starting to juggle not just family, but maybe you want to open a business because your family time and flexibility are now more valuable to you. But then, you're facing a whole other challenge of learning new things, and now you're older. So I this stage, I feel like you really have to tap into your resilience. Um, just to keep up and survive. So what do you tell your client that's at this stage in their 40s?
That's such a great point, Edith, about resilience. I'll call that strength too.
Mm-hmm.
And that has a lot of my coaching is about helping people see their strength. Because sometimes we get so caught up in the day to day, the week to week, the pressures of a career, the pressures of family, that we lose sight of, what's really important to us. Um, and again, at any stage, it's so important to kind of take the time to sort that out. But this idea of resilience, life is filled with challenges. There's no such thing. Let me see if you agree with me or not. Do you agree that every life has at least drama in it?
Oh.
Oh, of course.
I
Yeah.
mean, life is
Even
drama,
if you don't
It
want it,
is
just
drama.
comes to
Yeah.
you.
right? Stuff happens. No matter how idyllic your early childhood was, some people are lucky to have a very ideal kind of family situation that they're born into. But even that, uh, life is dramatic. Stuff
Mm-hmm.
happens. And how we adjust it, and hopefully it's just drama, but sometimes it's trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And in many people's lives, how we respond to that is what shapes us going way, way back. So the coaching experience, if people are open to it, can take you back to look at those ways that we were formed.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way we navigate or even survive the drama or trauma in our lives, that's where we get our strength. And it's good to look at that and look at the strength that we developed. Um, and also look at what you may have given up in order to navigate or survive whatever drama or trauma presented itself at whatever age. And I hope this is clear to everybody because sometimes we give up certain traits that we came into this world with. I'm
Yes.
going through this now because I'm a new grandfather. Yay, it's so exciting. And I could see this little baby, this baby's a Buddha baby, as we
Yes.
all are. We all start out as Buddha babies.
Uh-huh.
What do I mean by that? Every little infant is filled with joy, wonder, trust, and possibility. And then what happens from the very beginning? I don't care how great the parenting is or the household is. It's never perfect. So stuff happens. That kid is disappointed, you know, and you can see how they navigate. That's been true of all of us. So it's good to shine a light on that. I know we're going further back than we started to in our conversation, but as we pick it up in our 30s, we can look at that because it sets patterns in our lives. I know for me, I had this pattern, this work pattern, this corporate pattern that was very detrimental to me, and I didn't even know it. I literally was picking, I hope nobody's listening who I worked for, some of the worst people in the world to work for. And I chose them. I actually chose them. I had somebody interview me once. Interesting that some of our listeners respond to this if they ever went through something like this. I had somebody interview me in a diner in New York, outside of New York City. And in the interview, he said, "Hey, Pete, I got to tell you, I am the worst person to work for. I'm impossible to work for."
Hmm.
Now, what did I do? Because of my background, not to go into it all, but I had father issues. I, instead of walking out of that diner saying, "Thank you very much, see you next time," I took it as a challenge. I was going to take him on and prove to him that I can work for him. And what I was doing and didn't realize it, I was recreating my pattern with my father, who happened to be distant, disengaged. And I had this internal struggle of trying to win him over. That was my early corporate career. I did it 3 or 4 times. Wow, that made my life tough. So
Wow.
we need to we can look at these things. My only point is we can look at these things and learn from them. What are our patterns at any stage of life? 30s, 40s, and even later, other stages of life, and take a look at it and then make decisions to maybe change a few things, attitudes, ways of being. And what you started this segment about, Edith, about resilience is so important. What are the strengths that we've learned in order to navigate whatever difficulties were presented to us? It's really, really important work. And that's what coaching is all about.
Feeling overwhelmed by your to-do list? Emails, scheduling meetings, managing customer inquiries, social media. The list never ends. But guess what? You don't have to do it all. Let a virtual assistant from Business Essentials Virtual Assistant help you say goodbye to the mundane task of running your business and reclaim your passion over essentials. From administrative tasks, customer support, social media, marketing, and more, we've got you covered. It's like having an extra pair of hands without the overhead. Ready to work smarter, not harder? Visit us today at businessessentialsva.biz. Again, businessessentialsva.biz, and get the help you need today. That's great. I think your story is a story that a lot of people can identify with, in the sense that we adopt patterns and thinking processes that we're not even aware of. And I guess, from being so many years in your own life, career, coaching practice, I'm gonna shift this a little bit. How do you deal with someone that is having a hard time embracing change with age? And what I mean with this is that the world has evolved. I mean, take a look from sending papers and a fax to just taking a picture and sending it through your phone, or the way that we communicate anymore, between societies, the social media, everything has changed so much. And yet I find it that there's some people that they have a hard time with the changes.
That's such a
So how
great
do
that's such a great point. And I'm just convinced, and I know from my own experience, it's never too late to make changes in your life, changes that connect with what you're really all about, what I was talking about before, what's inside you. And part of that is a changing world, no question about it. Listen, now Edith, you kind of shared your age, you're in your 50s. Well, I'm quite a bit older than that. I'm 77 years old. Now, to me, I say
You don't
that and I
see
go,
it. You don't look it.
well, I set you up for that. But
Yeah.
I am. And I can't even get my head around that number. It's so weird to me. So I don't feel it, except when I wake up in the morning, but I don't feel it generally.
Mhm.
And it doesn't hold me back because I've done for myself what I suggest others do about that check-in. I
Mm,
made a major change. When I started to be a coach, I was already almost 60. I guess I was 60. And it's never too late. It really is never too late. I have a coaching client who came to me as a 69-year-old woman, recommended by her son, by the way, which was like the greatest, wow, that was like gold from having a middle-aged son refer his senior mother to me. And
Mhm.
she had a long career in nursing, very successful, the business of healthcare. And she came to me and she said to me something that I really never forgot. She said, "This is how I'll put it to you, Pete. I'm a football fan, and I know I'm approaching the fourth quarter of my life.
mm,
And I
Mhm.
want it to be just as, and these are the words she used, which are magic words in coaching. I want it to be fulfilling, purposeful, and fun."
mm,
I said to her at the end of that, I always give a free consultation call to see if there's a good match for Coach Pete and whoever is calling. And I said to her, "Look, I got to tell you, I'm stealing that phrase. So on my website, there's a drop down page that says fourth quarter life coaching, because all
oh,
that is
I
another
like
stage of
that.
life.
mm-hmm,
Just like on what we're talking about, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. Well, I guess the fourth quarter is a little after that for some people. It's never, ever too late. If we have any message to give out today, that's the message I'd like to give out. It's never too late to come into alignment with what you're about, to repurpose your life or restructure your life. It's never, ever too late. Don't let anybody tell you. And what you're asking about, Inez, about the technology and all the changes, oh my goodness. That's where I guess having children come in because they can help you.
mm-hmm.
But that too, we could always learn if we're open to it. It's all a
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
matter of what we're open to.
Mhm.
That's the key. Just be open, curious, and know that, you know, life can change and change for the good.
Yes, yes. Well, let's talk about the fourth quarter because I think, you're just in her 50s. I'm in my 60s and you're in your 70s. So this is
And
a good intergenerational conversation right now.
and we all look like we're in our 30s, let's admit it.
That's
I
right.
don't feel my age at all. I do not feel my age at all.
Good for you.
People ask me, are you in your late 40s? It's like, oh, thank you. But I guess the question is, reality is reality. We are what we call the fourth quarter. We wish we could be immortal. We
Right.
wish that our body will keep the energy, the vitality that we have in our mind, but sometimes that doesn't happen, right? Or sometimes not. It never happens. How do you prepare to pass the torch? Like you had all this fire as an entrepreneur. You did what you set yourself to do, and you still want to be productive. You still want to have a life of purpose, but you know in your mind, hey, listen, it's time to pass that torch.
And
And
I just want to add to that question as a maybe devil's advocate sort of side to Inez's question is in that fourth quarter of your life, as you referred to it, should you be or not should you, but um, what if you're not even thinking of passing the torch and you're
mhm,
thinking more selfishly and I'm doing this for myself and my own, this is finally my time. Like, is there a differentiation even?
Well, everybody's different. And
Hmm.
depending on, your age and stage, as we're talking about, depending on the age and stage of your business, if you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur, you need to evaluate where you're at. This is where
Mm,
your work comes in, the two of you. Because when I coach entrepreneurs, even in their 30s, 40s, and definitely later on, entrepreneurs need to learn how to delegate,
Mm.
need to learn how to, not do everything. Because first of all, you'll burn out and you can't do everything well. So entrepreneurs need to figure out at any stage, any age of their business and their life, what they do best, what they love to do, and delegate the other areas. And that's where consultants, virtual assistants, marketing people come in that can help. That's something that's really important. Then when you're facing the fact, okay, I'm up there in age now. I've had my business. It's successful, hugely successful, moderately successful, whatever it is. You need to ask yourself, what's the next? Capital letters. What's next for my business and for me? In fact, I did a webinar last year with a couple of financial people, business financial people. Love to introduce you to them, by the way. They'd be great on this podcast with you. And it was about legacy. It was about what to do about selling your business or transferring it to someone in your firm, in your company, or a family member, and what to do. And my role was a part of that discussion was, okay, whatever you decide to do, what's your personal next?
Mm.
What's going to be important to you? Life isn't over if you sell your business or transfer it to somebody else. If you're healthy, if you're fortunate to be healthy, you've got years left. What do you want to do with your next?
Mhm.
Capital letters, NEXT. That's when you can also, just as I was suggesting in your 30s, you can do at any stage, what are my strengths? What are my capabilities? What are my talents? What are my passions? What am I passionate about? That woman that I mentioned who was leaving nursing, she always wanted to write. Well, now she's a published author, and
Wow.
she just needed a little coaching support to tackle that because she
Mhm.
identified that's something she's always loved to do. So each of us has that inside us, something that's important, that's engaging, that gives us purpose and gets us excited at any stage, even this fourth quarter or geezer land, as I talk about it. I say that affectionately. That's what I am. It's never, never too late.
I love that. I love that. Well, Pete, for the sake of time, because we like to keep our podcast to 30 minutes, from our conversation today, which I thought it was one of the most amazing conversations in our podcast, what would you say would be the three main takeaways for our audience?
Well, I guess if I hear what I was saying several times, it's never too late to take a look inside. And
Mhm.
most of the changes or things that we're kind of struggling with, the answers are right inside our heart.
Mhm.
They're inside our experience, our life experience. Sometimes we need a little guidance to discover that or rediscover that. And that's where coaching comes in.
Mhm.
But those are my takeaways. Take a look at what's inside you, check in, see what turns you on, what fulfills you, what makes you happy, what makes you purposeful. Purpose is such an important word in life, don't you think?
Mm.
Yes,
And we can
absolutely.
find that purpose at any stage. We can build on it or repurpose our life.
Mm.
It's just never too late. Those are my key messages to everybody.
I think those are really good.
Beautiful.
Those are really good. So, Pete, if our audience wants to connect with you after listening to this amazing episode of our podcast, how can they connect with you?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you. First of all, I give a free coaching consultation to anybody who wants to learn more about me, my coaching practice. What is this thing called coaching? And it's I don't limit it because people have a lot of questions they need to learn. So first, I have a free coaching consultation, and together we'll see if coaching with me makes sense. If I feel a referral to someone else because I'm connected to a lot of other coaches and therapists. That's another area we didn't get into, the difference between therapy and coaching. That's another time. I'm happy to make a referral. So that's the first thing. It's my cell number, 845-642-1839.
Mm.
I have a website. It's called breakthroughwithcoachpete.com. And my email is, well, I'll give you the easier one. I have two. My last name, Heyman, HEYMANN.Peter@gmail.com. And I welcome anybody at any age or stage of life to call and let's explore together.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, and we will have links to how to connect with you in our show notes to make it easy for our audience. Because, Pete, this was such a great conversation. I feel like we could have gone another 60, 80, 90 minutes at least, continuing the conversation, because it's a great reminder of getting ourselves unstuck in whatever stage of life we're at, and looking towards our purpose.
I mean, that reminds me of my book. It's called Get Out of Your Own Way and Get On with It. And it's all about getting unstuck. That's why I was so thrilled to connect with you too. And I agree, there's much more to talk about. Happy to come on anytime. I really enjoyed it. And the two of you are amazing and you're doing great work. Thanks so much.
We would be delighted.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Until next time. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you. Let us know what you think about today's topic by leaving us a comment and a review of our podcast.
And if you found some value on the information shared in this podcast, please subscribe and share. And you can find us on our Facebook page, Unstuck Your Business, and join the conversation and engage with other entrepreneurs, as together we help each other unstuck our business. Until next time.
Until next time.